Hey there guys, I am the Six Machine and welcome back to another Warhammer video. Today it is the turn of the boys in blue, the Sons of Guilliman, the Ultramarines. Now I know why a lot of people love this legion. They've got the whole tactical strategic shtick, they've got that Roman style aesthetic which a lot of people love, so they do have a lot of things going for them. Their suzerain squads are some of the most gorgeous looking models in all of Heresy, but for me personally, I just find the Ultramarines a little bit boring, I have to be honest. They've got some cool stuff going on, as we will see. Some of the rules they are showing off today are quite interesting, but in terms of the overall design and style of them, they are definitely one of my least favourite legions. Anyway, I'm going to not complain because I've wasted the first minute of this video just moaning. It's the rules that we care about, and the Ultramarines do have some pretty solid ones going for them, as I said. The Legion trait, the Strength of Wisdom, gives you a bit of a semi-Tau-ish style buff. When you shoot at an enemy, if the target has already been shot at by another friendly unit with this rule, and your unit is within 6 inches of that other unit, you get +1 to hit against the enemy. This definitely incentivizes you focusing your firepower on one unit until it's completely destroyed before moving on to the next, and this really will help you to do that. I will say it seems a little bit to jump through a hoop for my liking. The first unit you shoot with in your shooting phase will obviously never get this buff, and then you have to make sure you are reasonably close, as you have to be within 6 inches of the previously firing unit. You can definitely chain it across your army if you want, but I do think it's going to require a little more thought than some of the other Legion traits that we've seen so far. But despite that, +1 to hit for ranged attacks is a very solid buff for your damage output, and I do think that if you are playing an Ultramarine, you're probably going to be pretty good and enjoy that kind of tactical thinking anyway, so maybe this trait won't be a problem for you at all. Maybe you like the idea of having that extra layer of tactical decision making and planning ahead to kind of sort out. So all in all, yeah, a little bit of a complicated in my opinion, but a fairly solid trait overall. Where they do show off though is in their very flexible, very strong Rite of War. And this is the famous Logos Lectora, and this gives you a range of buffs that you can choose each turn, and it affects how your army is going to perform on the battlefield. There are 4 to choose from, and at the beginning of your turn you can choose one of the commands to follow. You can't choose the same option twice in a row, but you can use them all more than once, just not back to back. So you could go, based on the ones we can see on the screen now, full march, then hold fast, and then full march again, and then hold fast again if you really wanted to. And let's take a look at them because they do give you some really quite impressive boosts for your infantry. Full march gives all infantry units +2 movement at the expense of having to take a -1 hit to your ballistic and weapon skill. So this is really good for just moving that bit further to grab an objective, and can, in shooting anyway, be balanced out with your Strength of Wisdom army buff. So this is generally quite a good one I think to start the game with, moving up into position, getting some good firing lines set up, and getting yourself ready to unleash all of your firepower in the following turns. Hold fast conversely means you can't move or run in your movement phase, but you get +1 leadership, and you can re-roll all failed hit rolls. So this one is a fantastic buff for your damage output, giving you pretty much full re-rolls on all of your infantry. And I mean, yes, obviously not being able to move is a downside, but if you have a few squads on objectives, or you've moved into position with full march in the previous turn, you may not need to move. You may be in a good position, or maybe you're just waiting for an enemy army to come to you, something like the World Eaters or the Blood Angels, where you are just going to wait for them to get close to you, and you can just shoot them as they approach you. So you can just do this command and unleash hell into them, and just do a ridiculous amount of damage to their lines before they get into combat with you. So I do think that this one is going to be one that people use quite often, just to do as much shooting as they possibly can when they have squads sat on objectives or just sat around waiting for your opponent. Retribution Strike is another option, and this one reduces your ballistic skill by 1 but grants you +1 to charges and +1 weapon skill. Obviously if you're going in for a charge, maybe with your suzerain or something, and you just want to make sure you wipe out that enemy in combat, this could be well worth it. Again, the ballistic skill debuff can be countered by the Strength of Wisdom on a lot of your units, but giving even just 1 or 2 squads that +1 weapon skill and a better chance of getting that charge off is, in most situations, well worth the trade, I think. The final one they show off is Regroup, and this lets you reroll failed leadership tests when you are falling back, and also any failed reserve rolls. So this is going to help you keep your army sticking around a bit longer. If you've lost a few combats and you have a few squads retreating, you can really reliably get them back in the game. So this does have a lot of use, but I do think this is probably going to be the least used option, if I'm being completely honest, with Holdfast and Retribution Strike probably being the ones that you use a few times over the course of the game. All in all, it's a very fluffy and very cool and very strong Rite for the Ultramarines. It fits their background to a T, so I really do like it, and I think a lot of people will use this Rite in their lists, mainly because it doesn't affect what you bring anyway. It's not like you're forced into bringing a certain unit type, or you're incentivized to bring bikes or something like that. You can still bring whatever you want to in a normal list, but you just get some extra buffs for doing so. So I do think that the generic Ultramarine lists will probably focus on this Rite quite often, unless of course there's a stronger one in the main rulebook. As I said previously, they are looking pretty solid, a little bit complicated in terms of their Legion trait I think, but they do have this incredible Rite backing them up, and as I said, I do think that if you are an Ultramarines player, then maybe going that route and having the decisions to make and the tactical choices to work around each turn is something that incentivizes you to play Ultramarines anyway, so that could actually not be a downside at all. It may well be a selling point for you for choosing this Legion, but if you do like tactics, surprising your opponent with your strategic mastery and just having a load of flexibility in your army, the Ultramarines are going to be a very good pick for you to take. But what do you think of the Ultramarines? Do you think the Logos Lectora will be seen in most Ultramarines lists? And if so, which command do you think will get the most use? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me, but until next time, I'll catch you later guys.